Hello everyone, today I want to present our monolith for integrate Odoo with RabbitMQ. RabbitMQ is a message queue manager that all exchange messages between different services, and one of them is Odoo. So let's start. First of all, check that we have installed this model. So we have two models, RabbitMQ and RabbitMQ with Odoo and QJob. So first model is I'll send messages and receive messages by RabbitMQ, and second is integration with QJob model for delegation some task in this model. So the main part for working RabbitMQ with Odoo is we should set in Odoo code for server wide model RabbitMQ connector. Without it will not work. So next we should go to settings, activate DevTools. As we can see, I already done it. And next go to users and set RabbitMQ group for our users. So save it. Reload page. As we can see, we have new icon, RabbitMQ connector, goes there. So first step is RabbitMQ connectors. Uh, it's describe how we should connect to RabbitMQ. So let's check it. First connector is consumer. Now we use this credential to connect to RabbitMQ instance. We execution method means that we without delay, so we want to use will not use QJob module. So next we can see exchange settings and queue settings. We set name, type. Passive it means that we only check if exists exchange or queue. If false, so we can create if it not exists. Yes, exchange we haven't exchange one, so we create when we connect by this connector. So and durable it means that this exchange queue will be saved after RabbitMQ instance reloading. So and consumer settings means that what method from which model will be called when we received some data to work with it data. So let's go next connector. It is producer. This is same settings, same credential for connect to RabbitMQ instance, producer, and the same settings for exchange and producer settings. This main is very remote persistent. This means that message will be stored after RabbitMQ instance reload. So go next. Second consumer, as we can see, execution method with delay, so we will use RabbitMQ, will use QDrop for executing this method. So in this case, we call method value average. In previous was value sum. So Next, we use other exchange type topic. As we can see, we can change, choose any exchange type what we want. So for exchange type topic, we should set a routing key. Now that means that like used by RabbitMQ to understand in which queue send message that what received by this exchange. So other setting is the same as previous connectors, and and so here we can choose what channel we use and how many retries for this job we will set. So next and other point is here we use event variable instead for set credential for connected to RabbitMQ instance, and as we can see we have use different env variables. For example, we use this, and as we can see here I have set to connect. Next, for example, if you have several RabbitMQ instances and you want to use only environment variables, so it's possible. For example, set now we should write these variables, or two we should write these variables. So it's give possibility to connect any numbers of RabbitMQ instances what you want. So disable changes. So and the last connector at producer that will use a QJob model for execute task, and other setting is the same. So and this we should change type topic, routing key use Odoo is cool. So for topic it means that special rules for writing routing keys. In this case we have one the same word is Odoo was in like this. So this message we will trap in Q2 and Q2. Yeah. So next is binding. Bindings is needed to set uh, external identifier for calling uh, like this rabbit command that we need. For example, here we can, for example, edit it set second producer connector, or here is so to send message by Python code we should just first of all create this binding like this. It's not required, but I create connectors for demonstration, so I set RabbitMQ connector, but it's not necessary. We can do it by UI from here, set for example here, and by this external identifier we can send message to this by this Rabbit producer one. So for example, and to send message we just call this external identifier self end and call publish message method, set data and message format JSON. So as we can see, we just create a Python dictionary and we need to convert it to JSON object, so we set message format. For second, it's uh, it's simple, I think. So next, routing keys we see is just keeps a list of routing keys. We can reuse it for different connectors, and other is RabbitMQ raw data. It's skip all send it and receive message just with raw data. So that we sent or that what we received from RabbitMQ, it keeps just strings. So duplicate page, and so for demonstration we create data manager uh, module that allow send and receive data, how to demonstrate how it works. So duplicate, uh, go here, send. So for example, and show one duplicate for show receive data. So go to RabbitMQ instance one. As we can see, we have connections, exchanges, inside default queues. So let's run first consumer. So reload page once again. As we can see, state started, so the connection was successful. Let's check it. Connection, yes, we have connection. We have new exchange and queue. So let's try to send some data to RabbitMQ. RabbitMQ and send RabbitMQ1 save. So we send to RabbitMQ these two value 18 and 22. So go to raw data. As we can see, something go wrong. Let's check it what's happened. So as we can see, message trying sent by this external identifier, but by this bind with this standard extended identifier. So as we can see by error, the producer is not active. So yeah, I forgot active producer one. So let's do it. Done, and let's try to your message. So we set to new and wait some time. So yeah, it's done. 80 22. Let's check what's happened. So total no, and the consumer ask was, so we can check that consumer with something get from RabbitMQ. So go to preview. As we can see, we have incoming messenger that calls this method. So as we can see, 80 and 20, 18 and 22. So let's check sum of this value and receive data. So as we can see, yeah, it's soon the same. So okay, for example, now switch on data, this consumer, and make send once again to RabbitMQ1. As you can see, 33A96. Let's check raw data. As we can see, we done it. In RabbitMQ, we can see that we have one message in Q1. So, but our consumer is stopped, so we don't read this message from RabbitMQ. So, for example, let's try stop this RabbitMQ instance. It's stopped. Yeah, we see appear return status code. So yes, it's stopped. And let's try activate RabbitMQ consumer. So it's loading, and let's check what's going on in Odoo logs. So as we can see, we get errors, and and our connector is trying to connect to RabbitMQ instances any 5 or 10 seconds. So it 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 will be during will not stop this connector, or a connection was successful. So as we can see at UI, it's trying loading. So for example, switch on this container with RabbitMQ1, and let's check. Total one. As we can see by logs, connection was success, and we can see by plots, the message was read by Odoo. So go to raw data. Yes, as we can see, we received data. So 33 96 is the same as we sent. So let's check. So yeah, it was computed, and the sum is right. So uh, as we can see, nothing go wrong when RabbitMQ disconnect from Odoo, and we'll just wait and reconnect when RabbitMQ started again, and by the right settings, we any messages not be lost. So next, let's try work with RabbitMQ2 instance. So let's check it. As you can see, connections have no connections, channels, no exchanges instead in the default, and queues the same. So let's start consumer 2 connections. Let's check. As we can see, we have connections, new exchange, a queue. So next we should try to send message, but also we should activate producer 2 for RabbitMQ instance 2. So go to view and create and send to RabbitMQ2. As we can see, we sent messages uh, 86 and 25. So go to Q and let's check. So as we can see, the consumer asked to RabbitMQ to get some messages and go to raw data and check it. So as we can see, message was sent in by binding with this external identifier second, and you receive it to compute to compute by value average method. So let's check value like this and value like this. So it's executed by Q job model. So let's check average of this. So average of these numbers. As we can see, we have new record 55, and yes, it looks like average of 86 and 25. So the last point we should check that we'll use QJob model for this. So go to QJob model and check. We have two records. That first is uh, publish message, and second is receive receive value. Data receiver value we call to compute receive value. Uh, Receive value, for example, here. This method was done by QJob model. So as we can see, is the main possibilities of this RabbitMQ connector. So I'm happy to describe uh, this possibility and have a nice days. Goodbye.